Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is lesson 324. The title of today's lesson is The Difference Between Costly and Expensive. Yeah, this is another one that sometimes comes up. Students may say, well, what's the difference between costly and expensive? Because they both seem to refer to a high price. So let's take a look at the notes so we can distinguish about them. All right, let's look at the definition of expensive first. Expensive is a high price, especially more than you think it's worth, or a price that is considerably above the average price of something of this particular quality or this particular standard. So you've probably seen it cheaper other places, and for that reason, your opinion considers this one to be more expensive. So you don't think it's worth it because maybe other places may sell it at a lower price. So therefore you think it is expensive. Let's continue here. We tend to use expensive for everyday items, services, etc. that we commonly buy. Yeah, so as opposed to when we get to the word costly, when we use it in regard to being a high price, it usually is for things that are almost always a high price. So there's a difference right there. All right, let's continue. Look at the note here. Costly has a couple of uses and meanings. All right, so this is another one of costly's meanings. First, it is used for something that includes loss or something you must give up. Now, this is one where it's different from expensive. So in this case, you'll probably only use costly and not expensive. So let's give an example here. That was a costly mistake, meaning this mistake probably ended up making you lose money, or you lost something else that was probably important to you. Maybe a guy, maybe he cheated on his wife, and maybe it ended up costing him his marriage. So it was a costly mistake. So sometimes it's not always specifically even in money, but you did lose something. You lost something that was important. In this case, you could use costly. Or the second one here, it turned out to be a costly tweet. Yes, we've seen this happen to several famous people now. The company fired her over what she said. So maybe she said something in the tweet that, caused the controversy or some sort of statement that a lot of people didn't like, and maybe she ended up losing her job over this. So she didn't specifically pay money for this. She wasn't buying it, but it did cause a loss. She lost her job. Okay. Or he lost her job, or he lost his job, either way. All right, now let's continue here. The second meaning of costly is more similar to expensive. It does mean something costs a lot. So here's where there could be a little more confusion. But it is not necessarily overpriced. Just like I said before, we tend to use things for costly that always cost a lot of money. Or more than fair value. It may actually be fair value for what it is, but you think that, when you're saying it's costly, it's a high price, probably more than you can afford to pay, probably. So it usually implies that it is a high price because of the quality or rarity of something. So in this sense, you might think that, well, it's the high price, but, that's just the way it is with this particular item or service. Okay, let's continue. All right, so we give one example in this, precious stones, things like diamonds or rubies or sapphires. Precious stones are beautiful, but unfortunately, they are also costly. Costly in this sense, meaning, the price is just too high. They are far beyond my budget. So it's not like you think this particular one that's being sold here, maybe somewhere else is cheaper. You just think it's always too expensive when you're saying it this way. Okay. Could there be a possibility where you think both? Where you think that it's higher than the normal price and that it's high? Yeah, so there is a little crossover sometimes. But here, again, the focus is on that. It's just always a high price. And then maybe, because of that, it makes it hard for you to be willing to spend your money on that. All right, let's continue. All right, now here's where student could make a mistake. Here, if they said, it is too costly to have your wedding in Hawaii. All right. Well, maybe, somebody has this dream, but, they're not thinking about it. Like if you invite all the other guests, they may not be willing to spend money to go to Hawaii. It may cost them a real lot. So in this case, you should just simply say it is too expensive to have your wedding in Hawaii. Yeah, it would just cost too much money. Okay, let's look at the next one here. That item costs double the price at this store. It is too costly. No, with the X again, that's wrong. So with the check, you should say it's too expensive. This is again probably just an everyday item, a common item, and you just think that this store is overpriced. Their prices are too high. You could get it somewhere else. In that case, you should just be using expensive and not costly. Okay, and I guess we have a last example down here. If you make the price too costly for customers, this is probably a business talking. Too costly for customers, they will be unwilling to pay it or to pay the price. So in this case, you should say if you make the price too expensive. Yes, in this sense. So you make the price too high, it's above, yes, basically, that they can't afford to pay that. So in that sense, you should probably use expensive here and not costly. You're just probably talking about a common item. Maybe other people could get similar types of items, maybe not the same exact one, but when you're looking at this quality and the workmanship of this item, it probably doesn't deserve that high a price. So therefore, you should use that it's too expensive. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope now you got a better understanding of when you should use costly and when you should use expensive. Okay, I hope it was informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.